What is up, everybody, and welcome to M3 Wrestling. I am Brandon, and alongside me always is Andrew.
What's going on, man?
Andrew, what's up?
Oh, just ready to talk about the birth of 316.
That's right. Yes, we have got a great show and a great review ahead on this great Independence Day that we're recording on, the 4th of July.
Yeah, this cloudy, overcast
better way?
Independence Day.
Yeah, what better way to celebrate our independence by crowning a new king of the ring, right? By crowning a new king. And if there was going to be any king, I would pick Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
But like anybody doesn't already know that, so spoilers, sorry. King of the Ring 96. This is a big one. This is the next pay-per-view after In Your House Beware of Dog that we just covered in the first episode. And this is actually a pretty good pay-per-view. I think a lot better overall than Beware of Dog.
Yeah, I would agree. I think top to bottom, Beware of Dog was pretty good, but I think top to bottom this show had it beat for sure.
Yeah. So King of the Ring 96, just a little rigmarole. June 23rd, 1996, live from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, from the Mecca Arena. And we had an attendance of 8,762 people. I guess, I don't know if probably wouldn't be a sellout crowd there, maybe not. But, pretty good house, I think. And I'm
guessing that place probably holds
fourth?
I'm guessing that place probably holds about 8 to 10,000. So I'd say they were pretty close to a sellout.
Pretty close. This would be the fourth annual King of the Ring, I believe. The first one was in 93.
Yes.
So we can just go right into the show. I guess before we get into the first match of the night, I didn't write anything down. Obviously, I didn't see this. There was a couple matches that were dark. One or free for all. I know one was free for all for sure. On the free for all show. Skip and Zip in a tag team match against Leaf Cassidy and Marty Jannetty, the New Rockers. And for those who may not know who Leaf Cassidy is, that would be Al Snow. If you even know who Al Snow is. What does everybody want?
I'm willing to bet I'm willing to bet that was a pretty decent match with the four people involved there.
Yeah. It might have been all right. I don't know. Didn't see it. Another dark match was Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus what's his name? Aldo Montoya, Man of War.
The Portuguese
who ECW fans. Yeah, who ECW fans would know as Just Incredible. Probably. If you did not know, he was in the WWF beforehand as the Man of War.
with the jock strap on his head.
Yeah. God, what a weird character that was, huh?
So Hunter, the story goes, Hunter was originally supposed to win this King of the Ring, and then the curtain call happens, and so he becomes the fall guy in the aftermath of that. And instead, he's going over in 3 minutes in a dark match against the Portuguese Man of War, Aldo Montoya. Oh, gotta love it. Yeah.
Sad times for Hunter. He was the fall guy. But, he gets his own eventually.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that brings us to the start of the show. Before we do that, hold on a second. I got some. I just want everybody to know, if they're not watching this, if they're listening to this, I purchased some Macho Man glasses of my own, and I've never been the glasses wearer. So on this program, it's always been the other boys, but I'm going to try and rock them as long as I can. It's that. Oh yeah, dig it. Believe it or not, it's really hard to read my paper.
You might have to get rid of them.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take them off again there. Ooh, dig it. I think I can see a little bit. There's enough lights going on in here.
Kind of like one of those debuts where they debut a character and then it's gone like the next week. That's That's how it is with your glasses here today.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's going to be. Yeah, I'm introducing a new character this week, and then they're going to yell at me in the back and grill position when I get back after this, and then we're just going to pretend like that never happened. Everybody's going to be confused. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, these are $10, man. I'm not even that upset. These are nice glasses for $10. I'm just going to say it's the teeth glasses. Yeah, I'm feeling the madness, brother. Yeah. Okay, so kicking off the night, first semifinal match. Steve Austin, Stone Cold, newly dubbed Stone Cold Steve Austin, versus Mark Marrow. Now, for those who may not have listened to Beware of Dog, Steve Austin was newly dubbed Stone Cold about that time. Right before that, and he still had DiBiase as a manager. He lost DiBiase as a manager on night 2 of Beware of Dog 2, as some would like to call it. Mm-hmm. And so now he is on his own, and he is making waves. In fact, the week prior to this on Raw, the Monday before this pay-per-view, he debuted the Stone Cold Stunner on Savio Vega, and this is actually pre-kick. This is just simple grab the head, turn, and sit on your ass stunner. This is very basic stunner. Still a cool new move. And him and Mark Marrow have a pretty decent match here. Yeah.
The last time we did this for Beware of Dog, we were singing the praises of Mark Marrow and just how good he is. And man, I really wish they hadn't changed his character. I know they did it because Sable was more over than him, but he just puts together great matches. But then again, you also look at who he was against, Hunter in one and Austin in this one. Maybe it's a byproduct. I don't know, but I really enjoyed this.
Dare I say he's a little bit ahead of his time here?
Yeah.
In the company? He, like I said, the biggest problem with Mark Marrow is he looks like a knockoff version of Little Richard. He is just a straight up cartoon villain, dude. That crazy ass eyebrows and mustache he's got going on there. It's too much.
Yeah.
But God, he could go. He can set up some good matches. And I think the one with him and Hunter, I might have enjoyed a little bit more. And this one was a really, really good match. I don't want to take that away. I felt that it went just a little bit too long though. I think it was probably about 5 minutes too long for me.
Yeah.
Especially for a preliminary match, like a semifinal match.
Yeah. I didn't have a problem with the length of the match. I kind of think like if you've got the horses, let them go, and
yeah.
But yeah, I didn't ever find myself getting bored with it. I enjoyed it. I thought there were some really good high spots by Marrow. Some dives to the outside, and didn't he hit a Hurricane Rana on Austin there toward?
Yeah, hit the top rope. That top rope Hurricane Rana. He did that, and he got a lot of offense on Austin. Actually, Austin and him both a lot of back and forth, really good. There was, and I can't remember the damn name of the roll up pin. Off the top of my head, it's where they kick their feet up under their armpits and then roll and then pull them back and roll them up that way. It's a really cool move. You don't see it really anymore by anybody.
Might be a reason for that.
And I maybe the toe of his boot or something clipped Austin's lip right in that spot. I believe that was the spot, and if I'm not mistaken, but it busted Austin open really, really good, and he ended up having to go to the hospital, get some stitches, and then come back for the finals with Jake.
Yeah.
But other than that, of course, he was bleeding like crazy by the end of it. But yeah, overall good match. It went 16 minutes and 49 seconds. Meltzer gave this match a 3 3/4 stars. I myself gave it a 3.5 stars.
Yeah.
And this is before, which by the way, go ahead.
I'm good with either one of those. I'll probably go more your route, go 3.5. Yeah. It was really solid. I don't think it was spectacular.
Just because of the length. I think Right. It was a good solid match. I think it was just the length that may have killed it. I think. So, and I just want to make mention real quick though that the Meltzer stuff I'm pulling now is just pure reference for the show. I did not look at those before we rated them. I'm seeing these for the first time actually now as we record. Because we just want something to reference to. I thought that'd be kind of interesting to reference that too.
We don't normally agree with Meltzer, so that wouldn't have much bearing.
Not
so.
usually, especially today's Meltzer, especially. Oof.
Yeah.
He's off his rocker.
Take these stars. I don't know what to do with them. Here's 7 of them.
Yeah. Wow, there's all these stars doing here. Here you go, Kenny Omega. You can have them. Anyway, yeah. So in the next match, we basically get into the second semifinal match with Jake Roberts and Vader. And I know I also spoiled that earlier for everybody, but most people already know Jake Roberts ends up winning this one in 3 minutes and 34 seconds. It was a disqualification, though. He hit the DDT, so he probably would have got the one, but the referee I think it was just a way to make it easier on Vader, make him not look so shit to Jake Roberts, who was obviously in a rough spot, coming out of a rough spot. Well, he wasn't coming out of it, but he was in a rough spot. A lot more out of shape at 41 here.
This is the way to...
What did you end up giving?
This is the way to take Jake and advance him, but not hurt Vader and make Vader look like a monster for later on in the summer for what they're going to do. So, did you ever, like, while it's on my brain, did you ever hear of why... And I'm asking honestly because I don't remember. Did you ever hear of why they put Jake in the finals with Austin over somebody? Was it just to try to get him over over a legend, or I don't remember why they picked Jake. But that could have been. That could have been.
Yeah. I wondered. I just couldn't. I just kind of what I thought because I don't remember if I've even heard it before why they picked Jake because he was kind of a mess at that time. And it's pretty clear to show. I gave this match a 1 star. I like both dudes. Jake is a legend and is amazing with psychology in the ring. And Vader's a good big guy. He's okay, but I couldn't name you my favorite Vader match, but he's a pretty cool character, but just not good together, especially given the state. And it was a screwy finish. Kind of goofy, but I know that they were trying to save Vader a little bit. And, Jim Cornette obviously is always great as a manager to these guys. Anyway, that's pretty much, I gave it a 1 star. It's not,
you're talking about,
it wasn't really good for me.
You're talking about favorite Vader matches. Any match he had with Sting in like 92, 93 is my favorite Vader match. Mm-hmm. They had a strap match.
Really?
At Super Brawl 3, I believe it was. The oddly titled White Castle of Fear strap match. But anyway, that's really good. They just beat the piss out of each other with a strap. And you were talking about strap matches on the last one. That's a really good one to watch.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. I'll have to check it out. I've not seen a lot of his old WCW stuff, so
but if I'm going to rate this match, I was going to give it a 1 or a half, but they botched the finish with the DDT. Like it was really wonky when he grabbed the ref and pulled him down. It's like he wasn't in place or something happened. I'm going to give it no stars.
Yeah,
just straight dud for this match.
Just straight dud. Okay.
Yep.
I kind of get that. I've always been kind of weird about giving duds to matches just because, and I mean, it really has to piss me off and be really awful for me to give a dud. And this right here was not good, but it was what it was. And it's hard to give it a dud when, it just, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard for me to just come out and say, oh, this is the worst fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
Well, in that case, you're changing my mind. I'll give it a half. I'll give it a half star.
Well, that's still better than Meltzer, who gave it a quarter of a star.
And so, I messed up when I said dud. I forgot we rate on the Russo scale here. It'd be a Russo, not a dud.
Oh yeah, Russo. Yeah. Meltzer does duds. We do Russos. Yeah, right. That's the Russo. So, and I have to mention too. Also, we didn't mention it. Owen Hart is out, who is part of Camp Cornette at this time,
Yes.
and Bulldog, who we'll see later, is Camp Cornette. Vader's Camp Cornette, and Owen Hart is providing commentary with Vince and JR for the entire night. And I've got to say that while there is some moments where you're just like, "Good Lord, you inarticulate son of a bitch." Because him and Brett both are just not the most articulate guys, and I'm not either. But sometimes it's like I've heard them cut good promos. Sometimes they take a long time getting there. Sometimes it's a little rough to listen to with their fumbling of their words. But that said, I can see Owen Hart's wittiness and his, the humor that they always talk about behind scenes. It comes out a little bit in this. And
it does.
So they run this angle after this Vader match and this Jake match, where afterwards Vader gets the heat right back on him and exposes Jake's ribs, and they just pound the shit out of him. They just beat the hell out of him, break his ribs supposedly, right? So they're back in the back a little bit later in the night, and they're wrapping Jake's ribs up in the bathroom, and Gorilla Monsoon's back there saying he's gonna go. I don't know, it's a good idea, but only Jake can tell you how Jake feels. So Jake's gonna, as of this moment, he's gonna go.
He's 41. So how many chances
Vince
is like?
Yeah, exactly. He's 41, and Jake, and I don't think I've even heard his age at this point yet. They cut to the front with Vince, and then Vince's like, "Well, that's pretty crazy. What do you think about that as an in-ring competitor? What's your feelings on that, Owen?" And he's like, "Well, I give my hat to Jake. At 80 or 90 years old now, whatever he is, and I lost it." And then a little bit later, he was like, JR's like, "Well, there's no question that Jake the Snake's got heart." He's like, "Well," and then Owen goes, an old heart," and he's like, "Oh, for God's sakes, he's 40." He's like, "Oh, for God's sakes, he's 41." And that's when you heard his age. He's like, "Well, maybe he's 61. I don't know about 41." But Owen just really laying it on there. I got to give props for that, because he definitely was funny at times too.
I want to just point out, I don't know if everybody at home can see this, but I've actually got Owen and Davey over my shoulder here. These are actually like period figures from like 96, 97. So some of my favorite
tag champions.
Yeah, some of my favorite tag champs of all time, Owen and Davey. So there you go.
Yeah, Owen and Davey. Yeah, when they partnered up there through that era, that was great. That was good stuff. Speaking of tag team championships, the next match we've got the Godwins versus the Smoking Guns again. The Godwins with Hillbilly Jim, and the Smoking Guns with Sonny.
Right.
Who is Sonny? Just a bright character. Just pretty smoking. Regardless of how you think about her now and some of her transgressions back then. Yeah. Anyway. So, I don't really have much to say about this. They fought a lot around this time. I like the Smoking Guns. I've always liked Bart and Billy both, together and separate. Bart never really went anywhere after 98. That's something we can talk about on another day. But always liked them as a tag team, and I always liked Sunny as a valet, no matter who she was with, obviously. Right. But the Godwins, I've never been a big fan of the Godwins. They're okay. But they're very much a product of their time, even more so than the Smoking Guns, I think. And I just never did really resonate with them, even though I'm a redneck myself. I'm not. It was more of a ridiculous gimmick to me, and just and I liked Dennis Knight more as Midian, even though that was a short-lived thing.
Yeah. I liked him more as Tex in Shanghai in WCW in the early to mid '90s. That's I did the Godwins.
Yeah.
But, these guys wrestled a lot, and we talked about it last time out, how the tag division's in shambles until Owen and Bulldog got a hold of the belts. And they brought in Furnace and LaFawn and elevated it a little bit. This match was better than what I figured it was going to be. I hadn't seen it in probably 20 years. and it was pretty hard hitting.
Yeah.
I thought, but I
yeah,
saw
it
this
was a
and I'm
little bit better than their last one, but
I saw this and I'm like, I don't want to see this, but I was like, it turned out a little better than what I thought it was. I'm going to give this one a 2.
I gave it a 2 1/4. It's
Yeah.
it was all right. 10 minutes, 10 seconds of a match, not bad. It's okay. Not that's a pretty decent length of time for a tag team championship match. I think Bart hits, I believe it was Phineas. Is that Dennis Knight? He hit him over the back of the head with his boot. With the referee turned, and Billy got the pin, and they snuck out of there with the tag team championships again, retained the belts. And yeah, that was pretty much that. Meltzer gave it a 2 1/4 stars, I believe. Yeah, 2 1/4. So interesting, I guess. I think that's what he gave it, 2 1/4. If I can read this right, my glasses are getting in the way.
Mr. Fuji's throwing
1
salt in his
1/4. I'm
eyes. You
sorry.
can't see anything.
This font, yeah, yeah. So this is really, really small font here, and plus my glasses are, yeah. So yeah, let me lean in here like a jackass. Okay, yeah, 1 1/4 stars. So we were probably too nice.
Probably.
Then again, Meltzer doesn't know. Meltzer may not know what he's talking about. I mean, that happens a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2 1/4 for me. Next up, Warrior versus Jerry Lawler.
Ooh.
In a 3-minute and 50-second match. Warrior wins, of course. And I ended up, how I say I don't give duds. I end up giving this match a 1.5. Just a touch better than the Jake match and the Vader match. I didn't think that it really worked out well for Jake and Vader. I don't know, like them together just at that point in time didn't do it for me. This match was a little bit more exciting, a little bit better. I know Meltzer actually gave this a dud, but yeah, I gave it 1.5. Jerry Lawler came out, great heat, got a lot of cheap heat in Wisconsin, and Warrior comes out to a big pop. I know that Warrior's terrible in the ring, and I know his attitude is awful, but you know what? He was still selling. I don't know if he's selling out crowds, but he was getting cheers. He was still obviously loved by the people for the most part in here, and he still had a lot of energy. Given this was 6 years after his first title win over Hogan, still looked really good. Still, yeah. So I mean, and Lawler got a lot of offense on him, and Warrior was selling for him a little bit. Definitely a lot more than he did for Triple H at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I'm going to give this another half star. No, I'll go a star. And the reason why I'm going a star is Jerry Lawler's pre-match stick with the Milwaukee crowd. Is the way he worked that crowd. He goes up to this one woman and her daughter and says, "It's women like you who turn guys, straight guys, into guys like gold dust."
Yes, that's a really good line. That was a really good line.
That line made me howl. Especially the way they're pushing Gold Dust later in the show.
Yes, that's a really, really good line.
He's got kids saying "F you," like 12-year-old kids in the crowd as he's walking by. To me, the match was really bad. You got him choking him out with tape. There's a pile driver, 3 clotheslines, and a splash, and that was the match. But Lawler's pre-match was so good.
Yeah, for sure. And that's another thing that we were talking about. We did our Mount Rushmore bonus episode the other day, and that's one person we actually didn't bring up one time. I noticed was Jerry Lawler. Now I don't know if I would put him on my Mount Rushmore, but man, you would think that if you're talking about territory guys, and the way he could his promoting wise, booking wise. On-screen character, heel-wise, between not just the stuff with Andy Kaufman, but everything else, Lawler would be a really kind of on the cusp there, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he sold out an 11,000-seat Coliseum every week for decades.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I feel like Ric Flair maybe has more of a presence and a worldwide notoriety. But man, I tell you what, the more I thought about it after the fact, Lawler really belongs at least on the cusp. Like he's definitely somebody we didn't mention then, but I'm wanting to mention now because Lawler deserves all the credit in the world for what he did in the territory days. And he is showing his chops off so well on Monday Night Raw and utilizing his position there to the best of his ability. You know, like Vince, I guess, always wanted to stick him on commentary, and he never really wanted to be on commentary. And he was obviously, him and JR were amazing together. They were, those are like my favorite commentators together of all time. But man, this right here shows how much of a shit heel he is, and it's really a sight to behold. If people kind of love wrestling, they need to go back and watch anything from Lawler, because he's not given enough. I know he's legend status and he's Hall of Famer, but he's not talked about enough, I don't think.
No, I'm 100% behind you on that one.
Okay, I think I already said that Meltzer gave this a dud, which whatever. Warrior, one of those guys that you love as a kid, and I recognize the charisma and the look. But yeah, as you get older, it kind of wears off. It's maybe not as, it's probably worse than Hogan. Hogan doesn't wear on me as much as Warrior does, but I think Hogan works a little bit better to an older crowd too. Excuse me, especially in his Hollywood days. But yeah, Warrior's very much a product of his time. But man, when that time was then, he was huge.
Yeah, and then the bell rang, to quote Bruce Pritchard.
And then the bell rang. Bruce Pritchard. I love his Jim Cornette impression. It's so off and so dumb. Yeah, double bacon, double cheese. Hey, look, you stupid motherfucker. Like, the bad thing is it's so bad, but you know exactly who he's talking about. Yeah. So it works. I don't know.
It's bad because he does the rest of them so well. It's like,
right. He does a great Vince and everything else. I know.
I think he just does it to get under corny skin, maybe.
Maybe so. Oh man. So I guess we're ready to move on to the next one. Taker versus Mankind.
Yes.
This one actually got a lot of time. And I think it was the second longest of the show. And the third being the Mark Merrow versus Steve Austin match. Yeah, it was 18 minutes and 21 seconds to be exact. Interesting match here. I thought, man, so I gotta say right off, this got me going because, you slow down a little bit with that Lawler and Warrior stuff, and it was just, whatever. And then you get to this match and you're like, okay. And for people who may not have seen this stuff, you need to go back and watch this little program that Taker and Mankind did from this time to the end, basically of 96, almost to the end of 96 anyway. I listened through the summer and fall maybe. They had a really good work. And
they had a really good match at In Your House in early 97 too. The crazy one where Mick Foley takes a header through a table. Yeah, that one's really good. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is all preempting. This is all way before the Hell in a Cell match in '98. Like this, they didn't really. I don't think they really did much in '97 together after that. Like it was Taker went the other direction into the title picture and stuff, and Mick was going with like I don't know who else he was fighting at that time. Was it Shamrock or Hunter? I don't remember. Everybody he was going to a feud in the summer with Hunter. I knew Hunter was one of them. So this is the very first time, if I can remember right, that the Undertaker actually had a really good feud and somebody he could actually go with. Yep. That wasn't overly big or slow in the ring. Of course, Taker's going to have a match here. He had that match at WrestleMania in 95 with King Kong Bundy. It was always guys like that, him and Yoko. Yoko's special, but he's too big, and by that time he was definitely getting too big to do much. but he always got put up against the big guys in the crowd, and they just always kind of shit the bed together. But Taker works better with those medium to small kind of guys, and it really you get to see Undertaker and all he's worth in these matches. And this one's no different. The very first of the match, Paul Bearer comes out, and he keeps kind of looking behind him, and he's growing more concerned as he walks down the aisle, because Undertaker's not behind him, and he's, this whole time he's playing it up because Mankind's in the ring waiting. And when the lights come on, as Paul Bearer comes up the steps, Undertaker's already sitting on one of the turnbuckles.
Yes.
So that's kind of one of those first times you see Undertaker, getting the jump on somebody, and the lights come on. He's on the turnbuckle. He dives off, gets Mankind in the corner, and does those mad fury of punches on him that you see that burst of crazy speed that Undertaker has. And man, that's just, I love this era Undertaker too, because you really get to see him come into his own. This is when he's diving out over the ropes on the crowds, in 96, 97, 98. Yeah. That was pretty wild to see.
They take the Undertaker character training wheels off and let him do what he's capable of doing.
Yes.
Physically.
Yes. And man, him and Mick worked so well together. Yeah. They did such great stuff.
I just wanted to say, looking at this again, what good shape for Mick Foley that Mick Foley is in this. He's like half of what 2000 Mick Foley is, and he's really agile. There's that spot where he runs around the ring and knees him against the stairs, and he's like sprinting around the ring. I just like Mick became a slob, but like here he was just like his moves were so crisp, and he was like I said,
he's thinner. He was way better shape at this time. And it's just amazing the difference between now and 98, that first Hell in a Cell, or the second Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah.
That's
wearing
just
a bag
the difference between.
It's just the presentation. He just gets sloppy.
He does.
I like Mick Foley all around, but I prefer this character here, the 96, 97 Mankind.
Yeah, I like 97, 96, 97 Mankind a lot more probably than 98, 99 Mankind. Although 98, 99 Mankind was a better character for, to support for the face, like being a face.
Yeah.
It was a little bit different. It was fun, but as far as all around stuff, heel Mankind, that brown attire, 96, that was where it's at when he first came in.
Yep.
And I always liked that character better than Cactus and Dude Love. I think they're kind of iconic in their own right, but there was always something about that Mankind character because he just like randomly through the match will just squeal like a pig and really, and he pulls his own hair out and he's got those shaven parts in his head and just really sells that character well, man.
Which in 96 was a big deal to see somebody with half a shaved head. Nowadays, you just walk down the street and see. I'm not going to get on my soapbox.
Yeah. Watch it, I will. No. So, do you want to take a guess at what Meltzer gives this one?
Oh goodness, I'm going to say probably 3 3/4.
He gave it 3 1/4. Actually, so close.
Oh, 3 1/4.
I gave it 3.5. Yeah.
I'm going 3 3/4.
I really, you're gonna really show him up.
Yeah.
You're gonna beat both of us. Yeah. It's a good match, man. It's a really, really good match. A solid match. It ended with Mankind actually winning though, by submission at the Mandible Claw on Taker after Paul Bearer actually accidentally hits Undertaker in the corner with the urn trying to hit Mankind.
Which was a shock.
We'll see this.
Because when's the last? I mean, there was the urn, but when's the last time you saw Undertaker pin clean in the middle of the ring, or beat by submission?
Submit or
never.
So
they were giving Mick
even all those big guys he was with. Yeah, they really did, and they really drug this thing out. And when Paul Bearer ends up turning on Taker, which we'll talk about, I'm sure real soon. But we'll get into that another day. Yeah, this is a really, really good match and just kind of the beginning really, of good things to come for these two in this year.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite matches. Being this is the first one out. This is one of my favorite matches of theirs. This and we'll
just
get
that
to
shocking win of Mankind.
Yeah, it's a shock.
Yeah. So next up is Ahmed Johnson versus Goldust for the Intercontinental Championship.
Oh my!
So, and they've already been selling the Goldust kissing Ahmed, basically trying to resuscitate him on Raw. He was on that gurney or on the stretcher or whatever. He kisses him, gives him mouth to mouth, and he does it again in this match. Yeah, well, yeah, he did. He said, and I just, sometimes it's just being a good host. But Goldust really pushing that provocative nature of his and really making people feel uncomfortable. And Ahmed really felt uncomfortable. He's mad. He's mad about that.
So mad you couldn't understand a word he was saying. But that's just about any Ahmed promo.
That's every day. That's every day. That's every day. I'm going to talk about Ahmed just for a second here. So, what a mind fuck of a human being, of a character. So, because I look at this dude especially as a kid, as wow, this is a massive, gigantic, big brute of a man, and you're like, okay, I can get behind this guy. As an adult, you're like, okay, still kind of the same, but why is he wearing elbow pads or knee pads on his thighs? This dude's got knee pads all the way up his legs, like big knee pads, and then then for a little while he was wearing elbow pads up on his biceps.
Yeah,
and then so like he just his style was conflicting, because it was like, wow, this is different and kind of cool, and it kind of makes him look bigger, but at the same time it's like, this is the most ridiculous and asinine thing I've ever seen. And that's somehow more asinine than his promos.
Yeah.
But he turned out, unfortunately, to be a guy who just wasn't that good in the ring, wasn't safe in the ring, and ended up having to get kind of a shoot ass kicking by Farouk.
Yeah.
Later
talking
on.
About being unsafe in the ring, as a kid, you see this match and you watch him. He does like a tope over the top rope on the Goldust. Like
I was going to mention that. I was like, wow, so it's stupid, dangerous for him, especially. But at the same time, I was also again conflicted. Like, wow, I can't not believe a 305 pound, 6 foot 2 or 3 monster just
as a kid
did that. I didn't even know he could.
As a kid, that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my life. As an adult, you see that he didn't even come anywhere close to him. Like, he ends up taking a header on the floor, and it's like, dude, you are so unsafe. I don't know what I was thinking.
Dude, he's straight up.
Yeah, as a 16-year-old kid,
he rolled his shoulder on that thing.
Yeah, watching this and going, "Oh man, this guy's awesome." And then you watch this as an adult, and you're like, "Ooh, this isn't as good as I remember." Thank goodness for Dustin Rhodes.
That's wild.
Match.
Yeah. Who I've always liked, man, and even with all that weird shit that Goldust did, especially back in those early years, he's still one of my favorite. Yeah, still one of my favorite characters, which is weird. Again, for me, Goldust is one of those weird characters. I think I honestly just give that credit to Dustin, because nobody else. I feel like nobody else could do that, and I'm like okay with it. Like, oh, this is totally fine. This is totally normal. Even when it's not normal, it's like, okay, yeah, this is cool enough for me to get behind. Because that's not usually something I like, whatever. But Goldust really sells it. He gets into it, man. He really makes that shit his own.
He carried this match
a 2.
What this match go like 15 and a half minutes or something, I read. It's about 5 minutes.
15 minutes, 34 seconds. It is. It's about 5 minutes too long.
It's too long. They got Ahmed selling, and he's not the greatest worker in the world. At this point, he'd been in the business 4 years. You figured he'd learn how to work, but you got him trying to sell for Goldust, who's doing the best he can with what he has. Yeah, I'm going. What did you give it?
I gave it about 2 3/4 stars.
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed the match. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't as bad as some on the card. Given what we know about Ahmed, Dustin definitely carried this match. Yeah. But I think it worked really well because I don't know, they both somehow worked well together.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 1.5 just because rewatching it, I was like, ugh. Like, I don't know. I think
again,
go ahead.
I was just going to say that the only thing that kept it higher up on there for me was obviously just selling that top rope, that over the top rope thing was just so wild and conflicting to me. I was like, wow, I can't believe he went for it. He missed, but kudos for him. He's either really stupid or really brave. But then they did the kiss in the ring again mid match, and to really drive home this. It was good for the story, and I'm like, okay, this is different enough for me and good enough for me that I enjoyed the match for what it was. But I do agree the match went on too long. I think it should have been probably 3 to 5 minutes shorter.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Ahmed gets him in the corner and just starts wailing on him, and it's like half the blows are completely missing. And I don't know. It just fell flat to me. As a kid, I loved it, and I loved seeing Ahmed with the championship. Him and Sean would kind of team up for a little bit after this till he got hurt. But as an adult watching it back, it's not so good.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't pay that close enough attention to that. So if I go back and watch it now that you said that, I probably would rate it lower. I didn't. Yeah. I guess I didn't notice the punches and stuff as much. I was just. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I just enjoyed it for kind of what it was.
Yeah.
I can't. I for some reason I've just been so conflicting on Ahmed. It's not as easy for me. It's so much easier for me to look at the Jake and Vader match and be like, wow, this is not needed.
Yeah.
At all. I think maybe it's just the story. Maybe it's the story of Goldust and Ahmed that just kept me going. I don't know.
Yeah. And Ahmed's one of those what ifs. What if he actually learned how to work a little bit, with that look and that presence about him? How good could he have been even if he could have learned how to talk a little bit? But it's big missed opportunity.
Yeah, if he would have just slowed down a little bit and really tried to be a little safer, and then he kind of probably got a little bit kind of a bigger head in the back, and a lot of the guys didn't like him. Especially like the Nation, that group, they did not like him. He made a lot of them look bad, I guess, and that's just like Mark Henry, who's like a super nice guy, doesn't have nice things to say about the guy. That says something. That says something to me. And Ron Simmons being the one to have to put him in his place. Of course, then you watch interviews with Ahmed now, like shoot interviews, and he seems like an okay enough guy. Really, he claims everything was kind of misunderstood, but you get a lot of one-sidedness from him, kind of similar to what you would hear out of Hogan now, as opposed to a whole group of guys that actually worked with him. So he's like, yeah, he's a shitter. Yeah. So that I might have to go with the guys who lasted a little bit longer in the business on this one. Sorry, Ahmed.
Yeah,
nothing personal, but so moving right along. By the way, Meltzer gave this a 2-star. So I was a little bit more generous than him, and he was a little bit more generous than you. Austin versus Jake next up for the finals, King of the Ring finals. We all pretty well know how this goes. They really tried to save face for Jake a little bit on this, which I don't know how I feel about that. It's great to not make him look like a complete ass, being a legend and all. He come out selling the rib thing. Everybody was saying right from the beginning that they think he should sit this one out because of his broken ribs. He's like, no, I'm going to fight. I'm going to keep going. And Steve Austin comes back from the hospital. This is behind the scenes. I've heard this on a couple different podcasts. He asked Bruce or whoever it was what Jake said. And then, anyway, they go out and have their match. Austin dominates the whole time.
Yeah.
To the point where Jake it's sad and which is good. I mean, that's the part of the match. To the point where Gorilla Monsoon comes out and says, "Hey, we got to throw in the towel here." And he keeps asking Jake, "You want to get ready?" And Jake, shaking his head no, he pushes him off and actually gets a little bit of offense on Austin for a second. Goes for the DDT and Austin goes right back to the ribs. Hits the stunner. It was a 4-minute and 28-second match. Real quick, real dominating by Austin, who hits the stunner, and he's the new king of the ring. Instead of Triple H, instead of Hunter, which was the right move at the right time, because we got the most famous, iconic, one of the most iconic promos of all time out of this, and that's what really, I can't rate the match and the promo together, but for kind of a which I think I did like 1 1.25 for this one. Just a real one-sided match for such a big moment in Austin's career as far as the win goes. It was just nothing because it was so one-sided. But the iconic promo, the Austin 316 promo, put him on the map. That's a 10. That's a 10-star. So
yeah, I like this match more than you do just because of the storytelling going on in it. You've got,
it's good storytelling, but
he's being dominated to the point when Gorilla Monsoon comes out there and you think they're going to stop the match, and then Jake waves them off. I'm like, okay, they're going heavy on the drama, and I like that. And of course, the outcome of the match was perfect. I'll go 1 3/4 on this one. It's just a little, like you said, under 5 minutes, but it was effective in, elevating that Stone Cold character. What he did to Jake when Jake was down. The promo is amazing. And I mean, there's nothing I can say that nobody else hasn't already said about it. It's awesome. And, it's the birth of Austin 316. And even though really it wouldn't start taking off until about Survivor Series with Brett, he kind of set,
right.
Everybody thinks it really started here, but he kind of sat in limbo just as a good worker for about 5 months before his career really took off.
He did.
Yeah,
he did. I think I wouldn't have, just real quick reverse and rewind a little bit. I think if something would have came out of Jake, this with Jake, maybe for the future, it might have been a little bit better for me. But just given his condition, everything, it was just kind of a weird. It was good for storytelling, but it was also kind of weird for the fact that Jake wasn't going to do anything after this, like at all, because he's not. He wasn't going to get it. He didn't have his shit together, unfortunately.
I love that Austin called him out on
promo. Oh, I do too. I absolutely do too. It's real. It's real. It's raw. That promo is so good. So I guess the story was the next night on Raw, we're seeing Austin 316 signs, and things were starting to take off for Austin, really turn around for him. And I don't remember when I'm trying to think of when they debuted his theme, like his Stone Cold theme. I can't remember when that came, because he was still using, I think, the Ringmaster music here.
Yeah, I think it was like
or
late
whatever
fall.
it was.
I'm thinking it's around the time with Brian Pillman in the gun, but I might be wrong.
Okay.
The glass breaking.
Yeah. So, real quick, I gotta, I've seen this a couple places. I don't know. Everybody's kind of undecided on when the Attitude Era starts, or if it's a month or a date or an event. WWE, I think, is supposedly self-proclaimed this is kind of the start of it because of the 316 promo. I don't agree with that. Like you said, he sits in limbo for a few months before he really starts going after Brett. and starting that package. And Brian's in that too. He starts the Brett stuff before Brian, but in the fall and winter of that, he's going after Brian as well. And the Hart Foundation starts to form sometime, is it then or is it early 97 when they kind of start to form?
It was 2 weeks after WrestleMania 97. So yeah, probably late.
Okay. So it was a little bit late. So it's a lot later. So speaking of Brian Pillman, right before this match, which I was meant to say something earlier and I glossed over it. Brian Pillman actually came out on crutches and cut a promo with JR and, called him like a fat piece of shit or son of a bitch. And then, he was carrying on being that loose cannon thing. And I told Chelsea, I said, wow, this dude, given he didn't do a lot, is severely underrated or undercredited for the Attitude Era, because this dude helped a lot with his, he was doing, because he was kind of doing stuff before, the Goldust character was androgynous and all that. Brian Pillman was saying and doing some stuff right along with Austin there. You know what I mean? Before things got real heavy in the end of 97. And so I really have to credit him a lot.
I think I've talked to you about this before. I think, he had that Humvee accident and they had that fuse his ankle. I think if that doesn't happen, Brian Pillman's a future world champion with that character. I don't know what that means for him and Austin. I think they're probably fighting over the belt later down the line. But
he may not have got hooked on, was it painkillers and all that? Yeah. He didn't. He may not have. It may not happen. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. But it's something that he would have been a superstar, and it would have been crazy to see him and Austin as a former tag team main event and pay-per-views. That would have been so cool. Did you see the
look as they're passing
and they
each
even
other?
Kind of get. Yes, yeah, that was a nice. And Austin really didn't sell much for him, but Brian's like, yeah, it was great, man. I loved it. Brian Pillman, I have so much more respect and acknowledgement for him now than I ever did, because I just grew up in a time where I didn't. I started watching wrestling in 98. Yeah. So much later than you and much later than all this. Well, not much later, but you know what I'm saying? This is stuff that I go back and watch after the fact and absorb. It's just, I find new appreciation for these guys the more I see and the more I learn.
We need to go back and watch, do like a review of Super Brawl 2 where he fights Jushin Thunder Liger back when he was young and in his prime and, before all the injuries. And you want to talk about Meltzer throwing out some stars. That's, man, young Brian Pillman could go. If he had that gift of gab that he got later, then he'd have been beating Flair for some championships then.
And that'd be wild. Yeah, we'll have to do that for sure. If I mentioned it, Meltzer gave this half a star for this Jake match, an Austin match. He gave it half a star, so he was pretty rough on it. I don't know. Like I said, I don't think I would rate it that low. Next up, World Heavyweight Title match, WWF Championship, Shawn Michaels versus the British Bulldog. Again, we were talking about that as Beware of Dog. He did not produce a good match. Neither one of them did, I didn't think. It was kind of a match. This one, other than a couple spots, was much better. Yes. Much, much better.
I think this is what they were hoping for the first time around.
Yes. Yeah, I think so too. And I think Shawn Michaels looks really good in this match. He takes an absolute ass whipping, which Shawn has always been good at doing and selling. I do think it's pretty funny him firing back at Cornette. He hit him in the ass with his tennis racket. That was pretty funny. Bulldog has got some really good offense on him. Beat the hell out of him. Michael's got some pretty good spots on him. The only blunder that I can think of is that top rope dive that Bulldog did, and I don't know, he was way too far out, and I don't know if he slipped, or it kind of looked like he slipped, or he just didn't have enough gas to jump.
Could have.
I think he just maybe slipped a little bit, and just it was some momentum or something off the top was just wrong, because it was just a weird thing that he did that, and then Michaels. was a little bit. It was about a half a second late, but he did kind of react to it like he moved out of the way, So it made it look a little less bad.
There was another blunder early in the match where they're crisscrossing, and it's kind of like that first match, and they're going fast, and then there's a spot where Bulldog just like he forgot what he was supposed to do, and Sean stops in front of him, and he eventually ends up pressing him overhead and stuff. But that was just like, you can tell that's one of those mental blunders that Brett's talking about when he's talking about having to lead the Bulldog.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is I've seen
the next level.
I've seen what the Bulldog is capable of. And you know what, and I think we mentioned this in one of our other shows, that he's never been good in the ring. Maybe that's too harsh. I think he was good in the ring. I don't think he was never great in the ring. He had to be led by the right person. But boy, I tell you what, the things that he could do power wise, the things he could even do athletically. Did you see that like head spring flip thing he did at the beginning?
Yeah, he did that a lot.
Like which I see. I don't guess I've ever noticed him do that before. But they were just kind of, they did a little tie up or whatever, and they circled the ring, and he just did this head spring thing where he just did a flip, but the camera was tight on him, so you didn't see the whole thing. But I just I had to rewind it back. I'm like, what the hell was that? And
he used to pull that out every now and again.
Like, that's incredible. Like the fact that these guys can just pull that shit out of their ass for a split second, and then later on in the match he goes the top rope and falls off of it like no one's there. You know what I mean? Like it's just so I know the guy, he could have made the jump. So I just don't know. So yeah, it's just like he has brain fart, and I don't know if it's the roids or if it's his brain or what it is, but yeah,
I don't know if it's that or he was
though. Bulldog's still great.
Yeah, I think he was in on the drug scene backstage a little bit. So,
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it.
That's the rumor.
It doesn't surprise me now.
Heard. Yeah. So
I wouldn't doubt it. I understand. Great man. I do. I love the Bulldog, just despite his shortcomings. And he has to have somebody like Sean to work with. But they both did a good job here, other than a couple things. They really did. I thought the match was good.
It's twice the match.
Meltzer went actually like 4 1/4.
4 1/4.
Oh man!
Wow.
Oh, it's so much. Yeah, I think he went. Yeah, 4 1/4 on this. I had to get really close because of the star rating, but yeah, 26 minutes, 26 minutes and 25 seconds.
Wow.
He went 4 1/4. Obviously, he does not come up. He does not come out of this. It was kind of an abrupt ending. I thought it's kind of an abrupt finish. But Sean takes the win, and then it was a weird deal because Mr. Perfect was the guest referee, and Owen makes some kind of weird excuse on commentary after this in the backstage on the Coliseum, the home video Coliseum thing.
Yeah,
he's like, "Oh, I was just getting confused, and I thought he was. I don't know. It was just kind of funny to listen to his excuse. That whole thing was actually pretty funny. People need to go back and watch that with Cornette, Mal and Jr. And you're lucky Vader's on a low. Yeah, you're lucky Vader's on a low fat diet, or he'd eat you alive.
Cornette's
just really
awesome.
Good stuff. Cornette's great. But he pulled out Mr. Perfect. They went in to do a double count for the pin, him and Hebner, and he pulled him out for whatever reason and didn't stop the Hebner's pin. I don't know. It was a weird wonky thing. Did I miss something there?
No, I think they were trying to dispute the finish again, like the last month. Like have something there to fall back on.
But why would you pull out Hennig and not her?
Yeah.
Or so it's just a weird. Yeah, I don't exactly know what was going on there, but then of course Owen gets involved. He comes in his tux and starts beating on Michaels, and Michaels is fighting all of them off, which I thought was pretty crazy.
There's a spot there. There's a spot there I absolutely love where he has Owen in a figure 4, and Bulldog comes over and he small packages them, and he has them both at the same time.
Yes,
that was a great spot.
Never
seen that before or since.
No, and well, I mean, I definitely wouldn't think that Shawn Michaels couldn't get his ass kicked by two of those guys at the same time. So that was kind of funny to see at the same time, like
Yeah.
seeing the face getting one over on both of these guys at the same time is just so out of character for when I look at Michaels. I was like,
Yeah.
that's, he's used to getting his ass kicked. So it was so weird after, 26 minutes in a match, you got him toppling Bulldog and a fresh Owen Hart. But yeah, they all come out. Vader eventually comes out and gets involved, and then Ahmed and the Warrior come out to even things up, and they all pose as the show goes off the air. They're all hugging and kissing and throwing babies in the air or whatever.
The next pay-per-view the next month at International Incident, which is funny.
Yeah.
I think by this point you had the 6-man going on in July for WCW. I think it had already been announced. So WWF's pay-per-view is going to be a 6-man as well. So
where you get the big Hogan reveal for the NWO, so the Bash the Beach,
right?
Yeah. So I will not rate this match as high as Meltzer did. 4.25 is pretty high. It's good. It was a good match. It was, like you said, it was twice the match the last one was. But I'd probably still give it. I'd give it a 4. I'll give it a 4, but I don't know if I do 4.25.
I was thinking 3.
Because part of me kind of wants to do 3 and 3. That's kind of where I was leaning. But it was so good compared to that other one.
What we had before.
But yeah, so that's a pretty good range there. That 3 3/4 to 4 is pretty good for that. And overall, the pay-per-view was probably, in my opinion anyway, a lot better than Beware of Dog.
Yeah, it was pretty good. The Austin
Marrow was.
Yeah, Austin Marrow, Mankind Taker in this match. And then there was a couple of things on the undercard that were pretty good too. And then you get the Austin promo on top of that.
And then, of course, you got the iconic Austin promo. And that little surprise thing, if people, it kind of goes under the radar, that little Brian Pillman appearance was pretty edgy too. So it didn't have really much to do with that about anything at the moment, but it was edgy. And, it plays into that Attitude Era start. And I wouldn't call this the Attitude Era, but it's definitely, but we're getting slowly month by month, we're getting little things that are edging that way. And because the thing is they don't really, I think they're getting edgy for the audience, knowing that their company's in really rough shape. They just lost Razor and Nash. And
by this time they're both over there.
Yes. But they don't have the NWO thing started yet, so that's not taken off. The 83 weeks is, I think, taken off around this time, but it's starting to. But it's, they're definitely gonna have to do something. But I think that NWO really is supposed to kick things in high gear, and that just hasn't happened yet. So, I feel like the Attitude Era starts a little bit later. Raw's War is not even a thing yet, like the arena and the logo and the scratch logo hadn't come in, like all that stuff is kind of the epitome of the Attitude to me. I think you get into early 97 before you start thinking about really the launch of the Attitude Era. I almost even think that you
steps that direction right here.
Yeah, there's a lot of things, but I think it almost starts with, like, DX was like a good. I think it almost starts with that first stunner on Vince. You know what I mean? Like, I think you really kick off that, and I don't know. It's all, like I said, it's all up for determine. It's all subjective, so it's kind of it's a cool little argument to make. Anyway, I think, what do we got in store for the next one? Do we want to go Bash of the Beach 96, or
let's go Bash at the Beach and change it up just a little bit.
Yeah, we'll go WCW, and then, I don't know, we'll see if we want to cover International Incident after or something. But
it's a pretty decent show. It's at least like Beware a Dog level.
Okay. Well, let's aim for Bash of the Beach first, and we'll go from there. That'll be the next episode. And so guys, we're going to wrap this up here in just a second. Hope you enjoyed this, and if you haven't seen King of the Ring 96, I highly recommend going and watching this for sure. Especially over Beware of Dog. It's so much better. And that, of course, that promo by Austin's, it's great. wherever you guys get your favorite podcast, we're going to be there, man. M3 Wrestling will be there. Same with Macho Movie Madness. We're on Macho Movie Madness. If you're interested in movie podcasts, we've got Macho Movie Madness. We're also wherever you get your podcasts. We're also on YouTube, M3 Wrestling, Macho Movie Madness. Both got channels for that. I've got Smith's Grove Sanitarium for my solo channel. I'm in the middle of reviewing Halloween series right now. It's my start. Got Andrew's got Drew Reviews, and he's got a lot of cool stuff too. He just did Predator review, and what else did you just launch?
By the time this comes out, Aliens will have came out, and I figure that's probably going to be a pretty big one. And
yeah, Aliens. He's going to be reading Aliens. So yeah, cool. So yeah, we're all on YouTube, and like I said, wherever your podcasts are, we've got M3 Wrestling. We have a lot more in store for you. We want to thank you guys for tuning in wherever you're at, and we've got a lot more to talk about. So until then, we'll see you next time.
Peace.